Hello, my beautiful ladies. Welcome back to Native Ladies at Work. This is session 3, and today we're going to go into a little bit of my family history. We're not going to talk about remedies or health just yet. Today is about my family history, identity, and truth. And for me, this is very personal. It's very important. You know, if I'm already telling you about my health, it's only fair that you understand what Native Ladies at Work in particular means to me and my family. So just a quick reflection. I want to acknowledge something. One of my followers, I received a comment about my previous thumbnail, which you all saw was just a lot of Native American ladies working. And the viewer asked me a very direct question. He noticed that the thumbnail only showed Native Americans who he felt appeared to be of European indigenous descent, right? So he asked me, what, are you a Black Indian? And I want to answer that question clearly, and I want to give clarity. So I am answering with no hesitation. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. My lineage carries African roots and Native American roots. It was my blessing and pleasure to actually take an internship at the National Museum of the American Indian in 2008. But Native Americans are those who are indigenous to this land called the United States. For all of that reason, I changed the thumbnail so it's showing all of my Native ladies being both African and Native American, because this platform must reflect truth in its fullness. That's what it's about. This is our story, not part of it, all of it today, okay? So what does Native American mean, right? And this is the history teacher coming out of me, right? When we say Native American, to gain that understanding, to ground ourselves in the understanding, the term Native American refers to those who were indigenous to this land before colonization. Before the United States was called the United States, before colonies, before borders, before systems, before government, before definitions were imposed, Native Americans were those who were indigenous to this land. But here's the truth, okay? Not every tribe is fully documented for their origin of story. Not every lineage was preserved the way it should have been, right? Because history, especially for indigenous history, especially for African history, right? It has been interrupted, it has been erased, it has been rewritten. And over centuries, as all of us know, some of which has been done on purpose. So Native American identity is not one look, is not one culture, is not one story. Everybody's melanin skin tone does not look the same. Everybody does not have Pantene Pro V hair. It is a collection of nations, tribes, and people who were already here, indigenous to the land we now know as the United States of America, okay? So my family, my great-great-great-grandfather, my great-great-grandmother and great-grandmother, grandmother, and mother are Spanish Creek Native Americans that were a part of a reservation in Florence Hills, Virginia, right? Spanish Creek Native Americans connected to areas in Virginia, particularly around what is known as Florence Hills, as I said, carried a deep-rooted culture and spiritual legacy, really deep. Everything was centered off of their belief in Yahweh. Okay, that the land was a living provision that God had given, that healing came through the nature and balance, and that community-centered living was important. The understanding that the body, spirit, and earth were all connected. That are some of the serious tribal beliefs and code for Spanish Creek. Land was not owned, land was honored. And Spanish Creek Native Americans did all they could to protect the land and make sure the land was healthy so it could be the provision and remedy and practice that God intended it to be for his people, right? Their healing practices included some of what I told you about, was prospering rosemary for circulation and purification, lemongrass, cleansing and energy, natural oils for skin healing, herbal remedies and infusions for respiratory, right? And and digestive infections, vocal health. Let's think of all of the things that over from the 17th all the way to the 19th century, people had malaria, fever, yellow fever, syphilis, all of these things that came, right? Native Americans took on taking care of Mother Earth as tradition. Native ladies work, this is where we live, at the intersection of ancestral knowledge and modern healing. Okay, y'all going with me? Y'all going with me? So where it becomes personal, to address my viewer, because he asked a very good question, I appreciate it. The Wanderer case is how my family and how my study, when I took my internship to confirm I was Native American, right, became necessary. And this part is heavy, but necessary. I want people to understand. The Wanderer slave ship incident was one of the last known illegal slave shipments into the United States, right? In 1858, this old dude, right, takes a ship called the Wanderer and travels to Africa and forcibly took 400 African men, women, and children. It's that unbearable picture that a lot of us see of the ship and how all of these Africans and indigenous people were hurt, right? They were chained below deck, packed into suffocating spaces, starved, dehydrated, traumatized, beaten, right? And some did not survive that journey back across the Atlantic. But those who did were brought to Savannah and secretly distributed and sold to avoid the legal consequences, as I said, because 4 years prior, it had already said nobody could go back across the water and get any more people. That's what the piece of paper said. Families were separated immediately. Names were erased. Languages were silenced. Identity was stripped. What a lot of people leave out is that one particular boat and that one particular fool, and that's how I'm going to say it, right, decided to stop everywhere else he saw somebody who did not look like him, which were indigenous peoples, right? So now here's where I want to speak carefully and truthfully from my family history and generational understanding, okay? While historical records only document that it was an African voyage that the Wanderer took, within my lineage, and stories passed down that are now in a museum, Telfair Museum in Savannah, right? This belief system did not just operate in isolation, right? It was not just Africans on that boat. There were indigenous people, including those from such regions of our now United States of America, being Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and the surrounding islands, right? Coastal areas, which were Cherokee Indians and Spanish Creek Native Americans. My mommy's family, right? They were also captured, displaced, and forced into servitude systems, along with these same trade routes and regional networks that this one particular boat, led by one fool, set in order, right? Whether by ship, by land, or by forced relocation, right? Is everybody following me so far? The truth is, indigenous people were also trafficked. They were also enslaved and absorbed into these brutal systems of servitude, okay? In many cases, indigenous and African lives became intertwined. Cultures merged under survival, bloodlines connected through shared struggle. We all brown babies. We all going through the same thing, right? So when I speak on this, I'm speaking not just from documented history, right? I'm speaking from ancestral memory. So allow me to tell you about my family. It just makes me happy. Personal legacy of my Spanish Creek Native American great-great-great-grandfather, whose name is John Joseph. And it brings me such joy to say his name because his name, as I said, is now on the wall of memory in the Telfair Museum in Savannah, Georgia. His name is connected to the Owens Thomas House and slave quarters. But here's what makes his story even more so powerful. Y'all ready? According to my family's history, right, my great-great-grandfather was enslaved, and he decided to stay in captivity to save his family. He chose to enter into servitude and serve as a butler within the Thomas household, not out of submission, but out of strategy, out of sacrifice, out of the love for his family. He stayed and served for 14 years of labor, endurance, pain, suffering, all with one goal: to earn the freedom of his wife and 2 daughters. And once he had completed that servitude, Boo Kitty, right? He ensured that they were sent back to their reservation in Florence Hill, to their people, to their family, and as important as it is, as I said, for Spanish Creek, he sent them back to their provision, their land, right? That's big. That's big. As my mommy and my sisters always say, you know, granddaddy made a Jesus move, right? So when I walked through spaces like Savannah, and I got to go back because he was honored, and I went at fall break to see it. When I saw those quarters, when I walked through those areas, and I saw my great-great-great-grandfather's name on those walls, all I had was tears, because this is legacy. This is the man who said, I will endure this, I will go through this, I will endure it so my family can be free. That's strength, that's sacrifice, that's love. Or as I said, that's a Jesus move. If my great-great-great-grandmother and my great-grandmother and my grandmother did not get back there, you know, and you think of the generation that could have been cut off, right? Right? So generations later, my grandmother's reservation in Virginia was closed, and that was a heartbreaking day. It was a heartbreaking day for my family. My cousins, Ethan and Rachel, who were still there, it was heartbreaking. The land had identity and belonging, right? And it was no longer recognized the same way by our federal government. And that tells us something, right? The struggle did not end. It only evolved, right? The land still held something that somebody else wanted, but it did not belong to you. But Spanish Creek did not put up the same type of battle, because they knew that the land didn't belong to them either. Hallelujah. They were just there to protect it. But what is the situation as well is that it was still homes to somebody. So when I say that I am African and Native American, I am speaking from a lineage that is shaped by slavery, a lineage that is shaped by displacement, a lineage that is shaped by survival. Y'all got me? And in that survival, I learned phenomenal things, and our cultures were blended. My dad's side of the family is African American. My mom is Native American, right? So this is particularly why I do this work, because healing is not just physical sometimes, all right? Healing sometimes is ancestral. It's what's been passed down from generation to generation. When I share remedies, when I talk about oils, when I talk about my vocal care, when I talk about things that are for digestive and respiratory health, when I actually cook food, I'm sharing what has been passed down to me from my Wonder Women, right? Wonder Women from Africa and from indigenous America, all right? I really want to thank my viewer for that, because he asked an awesome question, and it's great. So I share everything, as I said, a Native Ladies is not just about our glow, about taking care of our skin, taking care of our land, but I always really want to take into consideration when you all ask particular questions, right, as to why I named my channel the way it is. So the viewer who asked me, yes, I am a Black Indian, and I stand in that truth fully. And this is Native Ladies at Work, where I share our story, our health, our remedies. That's all there is to it. I'll see y'all in session 4. Ask me questions. I love when we're all on the same page. And I love when I get to share some of my history with y'all. Ask me. I think that's one of the main things we have to get better as a people, as a unit. If I don't know, let's not jump to assumption. Let's ask the questions to get clarity and honor and respect the cultures and multidiversity world that we live in today. Love y'all. Continue to stay beautiful and shine brightly.